everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited to have a chat with two of my favorite people. I might be biased, but I've gotten to work with both of these lovely ladies for a long time and think the world of them. We've got Sarah Starks and Andrea King in here to discuss what on earth do I ask my benefits broker as a small business owner. If you had come up with questions throughout, go ahead and put them in the chat and we will get back to you with some solutions. Andrea and Sarah, thank you for joining. And I'm curious, what inspired you to become a benefits broker and help small businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks, Rachel, for inviting us to share a little bit about how we impact small businesses with benefits. So, essentially, what kind of landed me in this role in particular, I spent 17 years in telecommunications before becoming a licensed broker for benefits. On my second leg, if you will, in the sense of careers, and really wanted to do something that would impact people, make a change. Small business has a big play. I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family. And so being able to bring that feel to them is important. Being able to provide solutions, it's definitely more of a consultative situation and role than it is selling anything. And I really enjoy that. I like working with people, meeting them, helping them provide the benefits to their employees that make them happy as far as what they offer and then retaining them long term. So that was really how I landed and am where I am today, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
Awesome. Andrea, what about you?
Yeah. So also again, thank you for having us. You're one of our favorites as well. That similar to Sarah, I spent about 10 years in telecommunications too, different company. COVID happened. I don't know if anybody heard of this little thing called the pandemic. That's where I found the benefits job. And so at that point, I had no benefit experience. It was definitely a new beast and a new industry for me. What really drives me to continue in this industry is the love that I have for people. I love meeting new people and learning about all the different industries that these small business owners offer. And most importantly, I would say my passion is for helping small business owners really bring those big benefit solutions to the table and find a custom solution for all of their members that really enrich in people's lives and improve their health.
Mhm. And I know both of you are really relationship driven in the selling, but I remember Andrea, one time you told me about a relationship you built that you ended up at somebody's Christmas party with them because you got to know them so well over the course of getting them benefits. I think that is a really great testament to how intentional both of you are with relationships with your client.
Invited to the Christmas party to this day. So,
Awesome. I hope you go every year.
I will.
Now, can you explain some of the challenges that small businesses are coming up against when they are talking about either thinking about starting getting a benefits plan for their employees for the first time or like moving into a renewal? What are some of the challenges they're facing? Andrea, I'll start with you this time.
Yeah, I would say the biggest factor, especially if we don't have benefits in place, is the cost. That's definitely something that comes to the forefront. Cost management of how do we make sure that we can offer benefits and that it's affordable. In addition to that, I'd say probably number two is complexity. With so many varieties of options, it can seem pretty overwhelming to navigate what's being offered, and employees' needs and expectations fall in that too of what is my team looking for? Do I have an older demographic, a younger? And what are their expectations for their benefits plan? And then lastly, I'd say another need too is retaining that talent. What's it going to take for your employees to feel satisfied at work and make sure that their needs are met?
Okay. Sarah, what about you? Any critical factors that small business owners need to consider when they're choosing a benefits plan?
Sure. Obviously, like Andrea said, cost is gonna play into that. But it's also the trends. Where are we moving to in the healthcare industry? What changes have come about that will allow us or small business owners to take advantage of some opportunities that don't put as much cost on them, but still allow their employees to have good benefits. And so essentially that's things like if it's a ICRA, which is an individual coverage health reimbursement plan, is that going to be the best fit to have a starting place Do I cover some of the costs for certain things and add voluntary options completely at cost to my employees? That allows me to have a very robust package for my employees, giving options showing that I care as a business owner, yet not necessarily financially strapping you at the very beginning of the onset of taking on that responsibility. So there's a lot that goes into setting that up initially. As Andrea said, it's taking into account where your employees are and what's important to them. So really listening to what drives them or what brought them to your company and what will keep them working for your company.
Mhm. I know, like Andrea mentioned, having small children that are going to go to the doctor several times versus somebody who's maybe single and goes through their primary once a year. It's very different needs. And I think one of the things that people don't think about a lot is how do they talk to their employees that are approaching Medicare on how do we continue to help you, but maybe there's a better choice for you on your own to move over to Medicare, and how do we support and educate those folks? Now, moving into that a little bit, when it comes to, we talked about people who are thinking about starting health insurance. When it comes to renewal time, somebody gets their renewal, it's awful, it's terrible, and it's just emailed to them. What is it something that you guys can provide or can talk about on why it's happened and maybe what we can do about it moving forward?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. Essentially, with renewal, first of all, you really don't, as a small business owner, you should not be getting your renewal at the last minute. That's not going to allow you enough time to really analyze it, digest it, and be able to pivot if need be. So here at USI, it's important that we provide that information about 90 days in advance, as close to that as possible, so that we can begin to make strategic planning if the renewal comes in and it is not what we expected. If the group is in a position where they cannot see what necessarily drove that renewal, we still want to be able to take that to market, which means let's look at other options. Do we need to adjust the type of plan that you have in place? Do we need to increase the deductible? Do we need to maybe see if there's anything we can do within the group to do some additional education going forward? So it's not just around current renewal, which we would help you with in the sense of trying to negotiate that down and find other options that will mitigate that increase. But it's also looking forward to say, hey, in the upcoming year, how can we get ahead of those things so that we're not caught off guard going forward? If we're in a plan that allows us some insight to what's going on, then of course we will adjust or pivot based on that. Is it prescription? Is it things that need to be included or educated with your employees, like telemedicine? Obviously, that's a huge one since the pandemic and a big driver of keeping the costs down, not only to the employees, but also to the plan. So there's a lot more that we're going to be doing and your broker should be doing for you throughout the year. It should not just be, hey, here's your renewal email. This is your increase, take it or leave it. There really should be options provided to you, some discussion around what your goal is as a business and what you're trying to do in order to keep everything compliant with your financial responsibility as well.
Okay. Now, going off of that, Andrea, we mentioned like changing maybe a couple of plans around. What kind of plans are there out there that are typically common for small business owners and would maybe fit like maybe a demographic of who that would best?
Yeah, this is where USI definitely comes in to help. The options can be overwhelming. So we have anything, whether you're searching for a type of carrier based on your location. I had a couple client recently have employees primarily in Ohio, but he had about 10 folks sprinkled throughout the US. Network was a really strong indicator of my people in Wisconsin. They don't know what we have in Ohio. Really choosing that strong network and then drilling down to plans. How many plans do we want to offer to your folks? What kind of contributions do we want to offer? And in addition to that, and I know Sarah's familiar with this too, offering those different deductible levels anywhere from $500 up to a $7,000 deductible. And that's where our expertise shines, is sitting down and getting to know these owners and really uncovering those needs and seeing what options we feel would be in line with their business and current situation.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know from working with you guys in the past, that there's a difference between the health savings accounts that might be good to set up for folks that are predominantly healthy for and have the clients potentially spend money and put that in there for them versus the traditional plan with co-pays might be better for somebody who has a chronic illness. So I'm glad that you guys can help sort through that and figure out which one is best. And sometimes it's offering both and letting the employees pick which is best for them after some education and a benefits rollout. Now, if I'm a small business owner, I'm thinking about offering health insurance at the same time. Is there any legal requirement that I have to offer health insurance by a certain size of my company? And also, if I have multiple companies, does that matter? Is it a combined size?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to take that one.
The ACA or the Affordable Care Act can be a big beast on its own, especially if you don't know what you're dealing with. And according to those ACA requirements, it is required by law to offer medical benefits to your employees when you have 50 full time or full time equivalent employees on your payroll. That's really where the rules start coming into play. And I think USI really positions ourselves to the average person doesn't know what they don't know. With these rules constantly changing and evolving, we really have a compliance and legal team that helps assist you during these times. We let you know when the rules are changing, and we also have a compliance calendar. So we'll make sure that you know every change and every step along the way that needs to be taken to keep you compliant and legal.
Mhm. I like you that you mentioned the full-time equivalent because I think a lot of people assume if they have just part-time employees that they will be fine. But it really comes down to if we combine all of these employees, does that equal 40 full-time people? And I think the other part of it is if my um, spouse or my brother or sister have a company, does it include us in there? So it's really tricky when you get into those ACA compliance laws. I'm glad that you have a resource for folks. When you were talking earlier, Sarah, about customizing those plans to include things like telemeds or maybe a prescription plan, what does that look like when you're talking to folks? And what additional services should they be asking their brokers about when they're coming up against those renewals?
Sure. So essentially now, obviously, we're in the climate where a lot of plans include or have access to telemedicine. You, as a company and as an employee, just want to understand, does that telemedicine come at an additional cost to me, like a copay? Is it included for free? As a business owner, you would like to understand, does it count towards my experience for my claim, meaning it could drive up the cost of my plan? Or is it something that's looked at separately? Excuse me, is it something that I can add as a standalone? And then essentially my employees can take advantage of it and it's not actually driving up the cost of my plan. Mental health is also another one, right? As we've experienced a lot of change and awareness around mental health, we want to make sure that we're taking care of our employees in a way that matters to them. So looking at a plan to say, hey, if I have some, if as I asked, as I mentioned before, hey, ask your employees what's important to them. If they're saying mental health is important to them, you want to make sure that we're picking a plan that includes some access to that, whether it be face-to-face interactions and you get a set amount, allotted appointments per year included in the plan, or whether it's something that's virtual that I could take advantage of. You want to be sure, again, that those things are being addressed on the forefront and that either I have a plan that includes those resources or I have some type of standalone product that I can add to my plan that, again, is reasonable in cost in order to make sure that I'm meeting the needs of my employee.
Now, Sarah, based on that, I know that from experience, the trying to get employees to remember the benefits rollout and all of the information that's dumped is difficult. So, is there any education that USI sends out throughout the year to remind employees they can take advantage of those type of plans?
Yeah, so essentially, just like you mentioned, at rollout, we're going to have all of that information available to them. But then we do have something called Brain Sharks, which are videos that kind of just explain different parts of insurance to the employees. And then also with our Benefit Resource Center, they're able to have those conversations or get that additional information that they may need throughout the year. That is an actual resource that is connected directly to USI. So they would be working with someone who works for us. And it's not necessarily a third party that's helping them navigate that. But it is an additional resource that they would have access to. And notifications can be pushed to the contact for the USI client. And then essentially they can push that out to their employees throughout the year. And as Andrea mentioned, if there's a snapshot that we use, a service calendar. So if those are things that are important to you, that's customizable. We can just say, hey, every other month, we want X communication to be ready. We have those kind of that format ready for our clients that we can send to the contact and then they can push to their employees. So yes, we can make sure that they're being reminded throughout the year of the resources that are available to them.
Okay. Now, Andrea, a question for you would be, I am a small business owner. I just hired a new employee. How do I get them benefits? When should I give them benefits? What does that look like? Can you give us a recommendation?
Of course. So oftentimes when we're introducing this plan and getting it in through implementation, I sit down with owners such as yourself and we talk through how do you want this to look like when you hire a new person? And so that's up to your discretion. A 0 to 90-day window is really what you can choose from. So you could choose benefits to start the day my employee starts, 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days is at max. After we make those decisions, you hire a new employee. That employee will be notified when their eligibility is coming up for open enrollment. And we can handle that, whether that's virtual reminders or if we want to set something up in place, how you want your employees to be notified. And what I've usually done in the past as well is print out copies of that rollout document to show to new hires of the benefits that are being offered. And then really just take it from there. We can help the employees assist in open enrollment and answer any questions if they've got any questions about their upcoming coverage.
Mhm. So I know that employees can start any day of the year and then we go from there on getting them benefits. So what about health insurance for businesses? Do they have to wait for January 1st or can they start in a mid-year time frame? And I'll get that to Andrea again.
Yeah, same type of scenario. Health insurance can be implemented any time of the year. You can even move outside of your renewal date as well. So you really, as a small business owner, have all the flexibility to start that on your own timeline. But that said, January 1st is usually our most popular day to begin benefits. But secretly, I love a group that's outside of that calendar just because we can breathe for the rest of the year.
Right.
But it's really up to your discretion when you'd like to begin your benefits program.
Now, what happens to my employees' deductibles? Let's say that we just have renewed in January. We have somebody spent $1,000, but we've gotten a quote that maybe is a little bit better fit and better pricing for a company in March. What happens to that $500, $1,000 that employee has already spent on their deductible?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most plans offer what's called a deductible rollover. So we just need a couple pieces of information from your employee. Let's say, using your example, they've spent $1,000, but your new deductible is $2,000. We can apply that $1,000 towards that $2,000 deductible and move forward. On the other side of the example, let's say your deductible is $1,000 and they've met it and they're done for the year. We can apply that deductible. There would be a small window of time where your employee would pay out of pocket expenses just to catch up with that deductible. And then we would work through reimbursing that employee for those expenses.
Sarah, what do I do if I am trying to one of my employees gets a large claim and they're just struggling with how to use it? And if they went to a hospital that they thought was in network and now they're getting a big claim, how does USI help?
Yeah, let's go back to that benefit resource center that we have. So essentially, those are USI employees. The employee can contact them directly. They can work once they get assigned a person. So let's say Joe is the person who answers that employee. They're going to be able to work directly with Joe to make sure that they see that process through. Essentially, they're going to look at the plan that they have in place, look to see what they have in network or out of network benefits, and then help them navigate how, if anything, they can do, how to do that step by step in order to rectify that. Obviously, we know that In most cases, out of network is unforgiving unless it's an emergency, right? If it's an emergency, life threatening, most carriers will renegotiate that and pay that as an in network benefit. But if you have something that is being scheduled surgery and you have plenty of time to make sure that you're looking at your benefit, looking at the providers and making sure they're in network, then your benefit resource center rep may be then directing you towards like financial assistance or something like that to try to help work you through that process. But we do stress that at the beginning whenever we're at open enrollment or a new hire, in the sense that we want to make sure you fully understand how your plan works and that there are in network and out of network benefits. And you want to do your very best to stay in network. That's going to keep your costs down, but it's also going to keep the cost down to the entire plan.
And I know just from previous experiences, making sure that you're asking if it's like a check versus a diagnostic. So if you go in for your annual physical and that's included in your health insurance, making sure that if you have a problem with your knee, you say, hey, is it still going to be coded as an annual physical, or do I need to make another appointment to specifically talk about my knee? That can be funky with the billing. Or if you are going in for a screening for a colonoscopy, they now have some less invasive screeners. But if that screener comes back that, hey, you still need to go get that follow-up diagnostic, it is no longer included. A lot of plans will then charge you the actual full cost of the colonoscopy. So just being more educated and asking your doctors how that might be billed. They might not know it. So you might have to call the hospital and check in with the billing department. In those surgeries, sometimes they will outsource outside anesthesiologists. So you might have picked an in-network hospital, but the anesthesiologist is out of network. So I'm glad that USI has a resource with account managers that can help them navigate those as they get those bills in. Now, to wrap up, I'm going to ask both of you, what makes USI a good choice for small business owners to work with? And I'll add up that Sarah and Andrea, can you put your locations in there? I know you can work with anybody in the US, but if somebody would like an in-person meeting with you, where you are located. So I'll go with you first. Sorry, Andrea, let's do that again. Let's go there.
We're going to have some of the same answer, but go forward, Sarah.
Sure. So essentially what makes USI different? One is it's our one advantage, which essentially just is our proprietary information and analytics that we use in order to make sure that we are helping bring that big feel to our small businesses. So we do a lot of collaboration here at USI. We are not working on an island. We work with our local team, but then we also have our network across. For example, Andrea and I sit in different locations, but we cross-reference a lot of information. And then we also have our region. USI is across the nation. So essentially we have information that's being pulled from that very big pool that then funnels down to how it can impact our small businesses. So we're able to pull a lot of data. We do a lot of data-driven decisions and analytics towards bringing solutions to our small businesses. I am in Cincinnati. So essentially Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area, you're in Dayton. Those areas I could definitely meet with you in person if you're looking either at your current plan. We have ways to look at what you're doing today to see how you stack up against your current competitors in the sense of your industry. So we can do a snapshot to say, hey, are you trending above or below? Are you overspending or underspending on your current benefits? Do you need to increase your DI? Do you need to adjust your paid time off policy? We can do a really good snapshot for you in order to help drive those decisions and move you into an area that you should be. So again, what makes us different at USI in the sense that we're working together. We have data-driven information to help you make decisions, but we are definitely consultative in the sense of our approach. We want to make sure that you understand what you need and then make the best decision. And then we will work with you to come up with those strategies in order to accomplish your end goal.
And for those that don't know, what does DEI stand for?
Diversity, inclusion, and equity.
Okay, great. And I would say that's really cool that you have that where you can check how you're doing with industry. So if you're, let's say, an HVAC company, which I know it's really competitive to get other HVAC employees in, you're saying that basically you could take a look at that area and see how you could provide the best benefits to be the most attractive to get those employees.
Exactly. We can take a company's actual information. So if they have benefits in place today, we could take their information, and then within our database, it's pulling that demographic and that industry and saying, hey, based on what you have and those factors, where do you stack up? Are you above? Are you falling right in the middle? Or are you below? Do you need to make adjustments in any of those areas?
That's awesome. Priya, I'll go to you.
Okay. So first of all, Sarah and I have the one advantage is really why we're all at USI. It's definitely the reason I took this position here. I know Sarah covered it, so I'm going to actually shift to another really great reason of why USI, and that's that comprehensive benefit solution. And we really take a holistic approach to that. So I'd like to share a case study that I've recently finished up on. But it's just, I met with an owner and he had the business started in 2021 and he is flourishing. So he's went from 6 employees to 33 employees. And he's one of those owners that makes you feel really warm when you talk to him. And you can tell he's just lives for his employee satisfaction and retention. He wants to take care of these folks. He's coming up with a renewal and he got hit pretty hard with the renewal. And he also has a carrier that he doesn't really have a strong presence, should I say. So when I met with him, he said, I want something different. I want to keep my rich benefits. I don't want to reinvent the wheel on my plan. I love the plan. But he also disclosed transparent. I'm working with another broker to get some quotes as well. So I really pulled all of our resources at USI. As Sarah mentioned, our network is so large and we have so many people we can work with. We were able to get him a solution where we actually mirrored his benefit plan, got him to a very large, nationally recognized network, and kept his renewal. He saved a couple dollars, but in our meeting, he said, I'm really impressed. The other broker that I work with did not bring any of these solutions to the table, and I can move forward and not sacrifice any integrity on my plan and keep my employees' benefits where they're used to and what they know. So that is a big reason as to why my USI journey is what it is. And it's just so cool to bring these options to the table. I mean, everybody's unique, so having those different solutions for all types of groups.
And I love that because I think what a lot of people don't realize is if you give the same information to two brokers and they both go to United Healthcare, for example, they're going to get back the same rates, the same plans. And it's really up to your broker to actively listen to you, actively listen to what you're needing, and bring forth, like they might send you 40 plans from UHC to be able to figure out which ones best fit that client and what additional things can we do to educate or shift the plan. And it really comes down to that broker hearing you because you're going to be able to get access to the similar plans. But it's so wonderful that you were able to use a lot of tools from USI and help that person accomplish what they need because you were actively listening to what they wanted to accomplish. I love that. And you are based in Columbus, if anybody wants like actual. So what radius do you go for in person?
So Columbus, Ohio, I have actually went as far as West Virginia around here. I will come out to you. We can keep things virtual, but anywhere in the vicinity, Columbus based.
And USI is a national company, so pretty much anybody nationally can reach out for a virtual meeting. If there are small business owners that are looking to figure out solutions, or if you have more questions on what on earth should I ask a benefits broker, I would invite you to put them in the chat. I really appreciated you ladies coming on today with me. I just truly and thoroughly enjoy you. And hopefully this is really helpful for somebody that was looking to figure out what on earth they do with benefits. So
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Rachel.
Yes, it's absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
awesome. Have a lovely day.